This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas. The information contained in this podcast is intended for informational purposes only and is not a substitute for individual professional legal advice. The podcast information was carefully compiled from vetted sources and references. However, R.O.S.E Resources outreach to safeguard the elderly cannot guarantee that you will not fall victim to a scam. Let's talk about scams. It's the must-listen show for anyone who wants to protect themselves and their loved ones from scams. Every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time on K4HD Radio, Joyce Petrowski, founder of R.O.S E, and her guests will provide valuable insights and practical tips on how to recognize and protect yourself from scams. And now, here is your host, Joyce Petrowski.
Welcome back, everyone, to Let's Talk About Scams. I'm Joyce Petrowski, founder and board president of R.O.S.E Resources, Outreach to Safeguard the Elderly. You can find more information on our website at roseadvocacy.org. You'll find our events listed there. You can schedule a presentation tab. You'll also find our social media links there at the top of the homepage. And if you scroll down to the bottom, you can see where you can sign up for our emailed newsletter. And we also send one out in the mail. You can sign up for one or both. And you can also download our safety checklist as well. So today I want to talk about some senior benefits that scammers are always looking to take from us, unfortunately. I found an article that was written just a couple days ago by Katie Willis. It's on through WSM on the MSN site, and it's titled "Senior Benefits Fraud is Up Sharply in 2026." And this all deals with government scams. So the Social Security and Medicare are two of the top ones that scammers will impersonate, do government imposter scams. Targeting people on Medicare and Social Security. The government impersonation complaints to the Federal Trade Commission rose 25% in 2025. I believe that's taken from the fiscal year ending June of 2025. There were more than 330,000 complaints, with the Social Security office being the most impersonated federal agency. And remember, these stats that I'm going to give you today from this article are from the Federal Trade Commission. I know we always take our stats from the FBI, but you can report to the Federal Trade Commission as well. And that's where these stats today are coming from. So let's get into a few of them. But just keep in mind that the government impersonation scams, yes, they go out to millions of people, but through a variety of different ways, scammers figure out your information. So the first one we're going to talk about is Medicare card phishing call. So just know that, for instance, like if a health insurance, or not specifically health insurance, but a health related company were to get hacked or breached, how much of your medical information then could be out there being sold to scammers. And now they can use that information to have even more targeted calls towards you. So the Medicare card phishing call. So the script usually goes like this. The caller tells you that Medicare is issuing updated cards with new security features. Yeah, that doesn't seem too far-fetched, right? There are certain instances where Medicare would issue new cards, and with all of the fraudulent activity going on in a wide variety of areas today and all the scams, a lot of companies are increasing their security features. So why wouldn't, government offices do the same? So this isn't far fetched, but they're saying you need to verify your identity before yours can be mailed. And so, they want you to give your date of birth, your social security, your Medicare, identifier number, a bunch of different things just to confirm that it is you that we're actually talking to. Sometimes the scammer's going to say your current card has been compromised and a replacement card is being processed. Again, they need to verify you with this personal identifiable information. So, as of the writing of this article a few days ago, there are no plans to issue new Medicare cards to all members this year. You'll get a new card if you ask for a new card. For instance, maybe you lost yours and you've requested a replacement card, or if someone has committed fraud using your name and Medicare information and you've reported it, then they're going to issue you a new card. But they don't call you to verify your identity before mailing anything. Medicare does not do that. Um, and what damage can be done? If a scammer gets your Medicare number, and we always tell people your Medicare number is personal identifiable information. Well, they can bill Medicare for fake surgeries, prescriptions, medical equipment, doctor's visits, all kinds of things. In in your name and Medicare number. And it drains the system because it's fraudulent charges, but it also can have a major effect on your medical records that might affect something down the road. And you might not find out for months until you get your explanation of benefits. And that's if you then look at your explanation of benefits. Some people just get them, they know what it is, and they just open it and they're like, okay, I know what it is. I'm going to just file it away and they don't even look at it. But this is another reason why you should always look at your explanation of benefits and make sure that the charges that are on there are actually yours. And if they're not, you want to go directly to Medicare, the 1-800 Medicare, and call them and report that there's been fraudulent activity on your account. And you also, say you get that phishing phone call um, saying that they're from Medicare. Just because the caller ID shows up Medicare or shows up 1-800 Medicare on your phone, that does not mean it's actually Medicare. Scammers have been able to spoof caller ID for years, and now they're able to spoof the phone number as well to make it all the more legitimate. So don't answer. You can, if you have an online account with Medicare, you can go on and you can check things out that way. You can call Medicare yourself. Just pull your card out. The phone number is right there. And call the phone number on there. And yes, you are, you're going to have to give them your information to verify yourself, but then they can tell you what's going on. But the other thing is, this is why it's always good to have a Medicare agent, because you can then always talk to your Medicare agent. They know, not only the new policies that come out, the new plans that come out, any changes that are made. Medicare agents are required to learn all of this stuff every year, and they're in the process of learning, probably learning it right now or soon. Not exactly sure when they get all this information, but they will have all of it and they will know all of the new plans and the changes by the time annual enrollment comes up in October, which I believe it's October 15th to December 7th. Now, yes, can call them and, because you might have friends or family say, hey, I got this new plan and I'm saving all this money. You should change. Please don't change just because someone told you that it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Just always talk to your agent. They know your situation. They know your health history, and they are the ones that are going to be able to tell you whether that new plan or what changes in a plan are going to actually work for you. So, don't have a Medicare agent, talk to your friends and family and find out who they use and who they trust, and then talk to that agent. So just know that Medicare does not issue new Medicare cards on a whim. If you've requested a new one, then a replacement one, they'll send it to you. If there's been medical fraud on your account, then they'll send you a new Medicare card. But they're not going to call you and ask you to verify your information in order to get your new card. Another um, government scam that has increased a lot is the Social Security. And every year we have what's called, it's COLA for short, COLA. It's the cost of living adjustment. And this one is called the fake cost of living activation message. Um, so every year Social Security announces its annual cost of living adjustment. And when that comes out, scammers are going to build those campaigns within days. You get a text message, you get an email. You very well could get a fake letter in the mail. I know they don't do so much in the mail these days, but I wouldn't put it past them. They could send you that email with a fake Social Security letter attached to that, copying their logo from the real Social Security website. They probably already have fake Social Security websites, is where these links are going to take you. So they're going to want you to log in to confirm your account to receive the increase. Again, Social Security is not going to ask you to log into your account to confirm the increase. It's automatic. They have their process that they go through. They have some software that they use. It's automatically calculated, and they send you a letter in the mail telling you what your cost of living adjustment is and what your new Social Security monthly benefit is going to be. So they let's see what else they also could have information, like your doctor's name and stuff like that, um, because they get it from healthcare breaches like we talked about before. So the Social Security Office of Inspector General has warned explicitly that criminals are sending fake text and emails directing people to fake Social Security websites because they're trying to harvest your personal and financial information. Just know that Social Security is not going to text or email you links to click on, and they're not going to call you. If you want to know what your cost of living increase is and you have your online account set up with Social Security, go to the Social Security website, the SSA for Social Security Administration .gov, and that .gov is a government office, and get into your account that way, and it will have your cost of living adjustment, and you can check things out. It's going to have all your information about your Social Security in that account. Another one that they reference that's gone up substantially is impersonating the Social Security office with a phone call. And this one has produced the highest losses per victim. And that's because this is where your emotions are they get you in a state of fear right away. They combine the fear with the urgency, which makes it more difficult to think calmly through the situation. So you could have a live person if you answer the phone call, and it's this fake Social Security impersonation call. It could be a actual person, or it could be a recorded message. But basically, what they're saying is that your Social Security number has been linked to fraudulent criminal activity. Well, that's going to scare people right away, right? Fraudulent, yes, but then adding criminal to it, that scares people, right? They might say it could be drug trafficking, money laundering, whatever they come up with, but they say your Social Security number has been suspended and there's a warrant out for your arrest. That adds to the fear that they're trying to instill in you, so you don't think calmly and rationally about the situation. But they have a way out of this mess. If you cooperate immediately, provide the information they ask, or make a payment, it will resolve the matter before they send out law enforcement. So just know that, Social Security numbers cannot be suspended. They won't just automatically suspend your number. They will not threaten legal action if you don't pay, say that they need money to activate a benefit, pressure you to share sensitive information, contact you through social media, or demand that you keep the conversation secret. They will not do any of that if it is the legitimate government communication. And again, what we've said before, the government sends their communication via letters in the mail. Um, the financial damage from this scam, according to the FTC, um, in 2024, they received over 8,200 reports from adults 60 years old and older who said they lost at least $10,000 to this imposter scam. It's up 362% from 2020. And those reported losses hit 700 million that year, which is more than a five-fold increase from 2020. So this is a huge one that's out there, but just know that Social Security office is not going to just unexpectedly call you, um, and, threaten legal action and scare you that your Social Security's been suspended and all that stuff. Um, unfortunately, some 60-plus-year-old victims actually emptied their retirement accounts. Some of them lost their homes. So this scam is extremely effective and you need to be aware of it. If you have any communication about your Social Security, you have an online account, log in to the legitimate website, log into your account and check things out there. And if you do need to contact Social Security, your account in the legitimate website is going to have the Social Security's phone number for you to call. Um, let's see. Um, we've this if you do happen to engage with any of these scams, just stop the contact. It doesn't if you're talking to if you happen to answer the phone and you're talking to him on the phone, just know it's okay to hang up. Just end the conversation. If you must do it politely, end the conversation politely, then just say something came up, I've got to go, and hang up, or just hang up. It's okay to just hang up. Um, if you're responding to a so-called text, with saying that they're from one of these offices, just stop the contact, report the text as spam before you delete it. You could even screenshot it, because then you could call the Social Security office, you could call Medicare, and you could report it, and you could give them a screenshot of the text messages, or you can send them a copy of the email that you received, or if they sent you maybe a letter well, you don't want to open up the attachment, so let's not worry about that. But just stop the communication with them and report it. You can go directly to the Social Security office and just log into your account. They have a fraud hotline. You can get the phone number and call them. You can also call Medicare at that 1-800-Medicare number. The best thing to do for identity theft, if you think you might have been a victim of identity theft, is the Federal Trade Commission has a specific identity theft reporting where they can help you walk through the process of getting your identity back. And they give you the paperwork that's needed in order to get, in case there's fraudulent credit on your name. Let's see. Another government impersonation scam could be the IRS. It is tax season. There's a lot of IRS scams that go on out there. And if you have not already done so, please get your identity protection PIN with the IRS. The quickest way to do it is if you get on the IRS website, irs.gov, and just search identity protection PIN. It'll come up and you can request it online. That is the quickest way to do it. You will have to set up an account and you will need to go through a verification process. It's called ID Me. So that's why you need to make sure you're on the legitimate IRS website, irs.gov. Again, that .gov is the government office. You can also, they'll also have They'll also give you the phone number that you can call the IRS and do it over the phone. But whether you do it online or you do it over the phone, you have to verify yourself. And they will ask a lot of personal questions. Um, but then once you go through the verification process, you're issued this 6-digit number. And if you've done it online and you have an account with the IRS now, that you'll see it in your online account, but they will also send you a letter in the mail with that number. It's good to have that even if you don't file taxes because it protects your account. You have the letter, you just put it away for safekeeping. Um, it- but if you do file taxes, when you sign your tax return and then date it, right next to the date is where you're going to put that 6-digit code on your return. Because if you file your return and you have been issued that PIN number and you do not include it on your return will not get accepted. So make sure you have it on your return where you sign, then date, and then there's this place to put that number. And then that letter goes away for safekeeping. That IP PIN number is personal confidential information. And then next year, the IRS is going to issue you a whole new 6-digit code. If you're ready to file your taxes and you don't have that number, you can log into your account and it should be updated in there to give you that new number. The only way that someone else other than you and your spouse that would file a joint return would, and by the way, both spouses need their own separate number. So make sure both spouses get it if you're filing a joint return, because it affects either spouse Social Security number is attached to the account. And I'll explain that in more detail here shortly. But the only way anybody else should have the PIN number of your PIN number or your spouse's PIN number is if you use a tax preparer and they electronically file your tax return, they're going to need to have that number to put in when they electronically file your tax return. So that is the only way some third party would need that number. Now, getting back to why both spouses need it, I'm a perfect example of this. So, about a year and a half ago, I was going through the mail and I got a letter and I could tell it was from the IRS. And my first thought was, wow, this is weird. Normally, when we get communication from the IRS, it comes to both my husband and me. But this one came to just me. And I opened it up and it was a letter stating that they had received a tax return in my name and Social Security number, and they flagged it as possibly fraudulent. So they had not processed it. Um, and that if this was a fraudulent return, to please call. And they gave me the phone number. And I did verify that that was the actual correct phone number with the IRS. So it wasn't like a fake letter that, maybe a scammer would send out. Um, I verified that that phone number was accurate and I called and I had to go through the verification process. And then once I did that and verified myself, I asked them, well, how was that return filed? And excuse me, they wouldn't give me any information that was on that return other than it was in my name and my Social Security number. So I just assumed that whoever filed that fraudulent return did was filed under something other than married filing jointly, because my husband and I have been filing that way for 30 years, and that's probably why the IRS flagged it as possibly fraudulent, because it came in as something different. That's what I assumed. They wouldn't give me any information on it, but they said, all right, we are going to start working through the process to get this fraudulent return off of your account. And they said, by the way, and we had not filed our tax return yet. So they said, and I said, well, what do I do when I file our legitimate tax return? And they said, well, you're going to be automatically issued this IP PIN. So you're going to want to make sure you have it on your tax return. See, I didn't have to apply for it. I was a victim of tax related identity theft. So I was automatically issued it. Make sure it's on your return. and make sure your husband's is on, his IP pin is on the return as well, and file it. But if you are getting a refund, you're not going to get your money until this fraudulent return is off of your account. Or if you're taking that refund and saying credit it, well, and I said, okay, well, how long is that going to take? And she said it could take up to, I think it was like 630 days or something like that. And I'm like, that's like 2 years. And she goes, that's up to how long it could take to get this fraudulent return off of your account. And so I just gave it a few months, and then I called, the IRS, and I don't think anybody carves out 2 to 4 hours in their day to talk to the IRS, but, I called, and then you sit on hold, and then you finally get somebody, and it just so happened that when I was halfway through the process, I got disconnected. So then I had to call back again and sit on hold. Going through the process again, I got disconnected again, and that was even after I said, please don't disconnect me. I was disconnected last time. And they're like, oh, no, we're not going to disconnect you. We got disconnected again. So I just gave up and let it go a few more months. And then I think it took about 5 or 6 months. It was finally, that fraudulent return was finally off of our account. But in the meantime, we had filed our legitimate return. And I said to the tax preparer, I said, if we just don't refund any of the money, if we have an overpayment, just credit it to the next year, because it could take up to 2 years to get this refund. And so the tax preparer did that. And then my husband got a letter in the mail, and I got a letter in the mail from the IRS saying that the amount of the overpayment they could credit to the next year was zero. And that was because we still had that fraudulent return attached to our account. So your money doesn't just disappear. Your money's there, but it's not going to show as a refund or an overpayment credited to the next year until this fraudulent return is off of your account. And had the IRS processed that fraudulent return, it probably would have taken at least a year or more for it to come off of my account. So, and a lot more phone calls with the IRS and all of that. And it's frustrating. You just don't plan having to do that, during your day. And it's very frustrating. So just please get the IP PIN number. You can do it online, irs.gov. You can also, they'll have a phone number there if you need to call them, and just get it and know that you're going to get a new one every year. It's confidential, personal confidential information. So as I said before, the only additional person that would need to know it would be your tax preparer if they are filing your return electronically. So just be aware of government impersonation scams. Um, just because you get a text, a phone call, an email, don't necessarily believe it. You always have to verify on your own through legitimate channels, and just know that, Medicare is not going to automatically send new cards to everybody. Um, have your Medicare agent that can help you. And then Social Security, they're not going to threaten arrest. They're not going to threaten, payment and all of that. Just log on to your Social Security account and find out what's going on there. The cost of living adjustment is automatic. You shouldn't have to pay anybody do not pay anybody when they say they can, if you just give me $300, I can get you an increase in your cost of living adjustment. That's not the case. It's the government figures it out and they send you the information. So, just know that a lot of scammers are out there impersonating the government, and just please be very, very careful. That's all I have for you today. Next week, David Hawkins is going to be back. He was on last month, if you remember, where we talked about passkeys and how that biometric information works and passwords. Well, our plan is to talk about artificial intelligence, and my hope is that we're going to be able to show you some artificially manipulated videos to try to help you see the nuances in them, and maybe an actual voice recording that's not legitimate. I don't know. We're putting it all together right now. So tune in next week to listen to what Dave has to say. And don't forget, check our website at roseadvocacy.org. Social media links are there. You can check out our golf tournament event coming up on April 10th. We are looking for some more golfers. It's at Arizona Grand in Phoenix, Arizona. And we have an auction. We're looking for some auction donations. And scroll down to the bottom of the homepage and you will see where you can sign up for our newsletter via email and or in the mail. So until next week, and happy St. Patrick's Day. I almost forgot about that. It is St. Patrick's Day. Be careful if you're out there celebrating St. Patrick's Day today. All right. Take care.
Well, that's all the knowledge for this episode. Tune in every Tuesday at 8 a.m. Pacific Time on K4HD Radio at k4hd.com as Joyce explores a variety of knowledge so you have the power to make scam protection your healthy habit. And until then, feel free to reach out to Joyce and let's talk about scams.